Hello everyone, this is Donnie, aka Elevated with DotaAlchemy.com, and this is another Dota 2 video for you today. And this is going to be a really cool play that was made by EternalEnvy's new team with Fear and Snaking and Monkeys Forever, and this new player from Ukraine called Sui, their mid player. But anyway, they were playing against Complexity today in Chinese Major qualifiers, and they made this play in game 2, and I thought it was just so beautifully orchestrated that I wanted to kind of break it down. In this game, a little bit of context. In the first game, they went with Terrorblade and Sand King, and in this second game, they started out with the same 3 picks, and then as soon as Complexity picked a 4th pick Anti-Mage, the EternalEnvy team responded with Beastmaster and Lycan as their final 2 picks. And so this obviously shows that they want to push, and they want to push as early as possible and push as hard as possible. They have a Pugna, they have a Lycan, they have a Beastmaster, and they have a Shadow Shaman. It's like about as push-heavy lineup as you could possibly have. And that's obviously one of the best ways to counter an anti-mage lineup, because the hero needs space, and you deny them space by pushing so early that he just never has time to get farm. It does put them on a bit of a clock, so they need to be very careful about how they go about pushing these towers. And the side of Complexity in game 2 has pretty good team fight with Undying Tombstone, Magnus RP, with Kunkka, Leave, Boat, etc. And so Complexity's lineup is strongest when there is 5. Now, the EternalEnvy team is ahead in this game. They've already taken a set of racks, and they are quite far ahead in terms of both their map pressure, map control, and gold. However, like I said, the Complexity lineup is definitely a better team fighting team. They just have more AoE damage. They have more stronger control, I would say, with the RP. In that sense, they can deal with the Lycan, with the Beastmaster, and the Pugna if they are able to take a fight on their terms. So what EternalEnvy's team does is they just say, guess what? You're not allowed to take a fight on your terms. And so I want to look at a specific type of strategy that we can borrow from the chess world called a fork. Basically, EternalEnvy's team orchestrates a perfect fork play. And in chess, a fork is where you have essentially forcing your opponent into 2 bad choices. Put them in a situation where they either have to make a choice that loses them 1 piece, or it loses them another piece. And it all starts when Snaking TPs to the bottom lane. They have just claimed Roshan, they've claimed the tier 1 tower top, and they are setting up for this fork play now by sending Snaking to the bottom lane. And I know that in a lot of games, I've personally done this myself, sometimes, especially when you do have a Shadow Shaman on your team, it can be kind of annoying that the Shaman is always just on their own. They're always playing by themselves. It seems like they're, wielding the Aether Lens, the Blink Dagger, the Aghanim Scepter. They're just kind of playing their own game, trying to push towers. And that can be kind of frustrating, but in this case, Snaking does that on purpose. So he TPs to the bottom lane by himself and begins pushing the wave as quickly as possible, using shock, spamming his spells, right-clicking the creeps. He's not super concerned about getting all the lessons. He just wants the wave to be moving towards Complexity's base as fast as possible, because in the meantime, his team is running to the top lane to begin pushing out the top wave and trying to go take that tier 2 tower and top shrine. So as we can see, Snaking is pushing the wave, and Complexity is trying to control their high ground area because they have a shrine there. It's good to fight around your shrine for obvious reasons. They want to contest this tier 2 tower in a location that benefits them. If they can take a fight with the Tombstone, the RP, the Kunkka Boat from the high ground to the low ground, that's a very advantageous fight for their team. Now, Snaking creates a bit of a problem because Shadow Shaman is one of those heroes that you have to be very wary of as he's running towards your base, because obviously with the Serpent Wards, he can take a tower by himself very, very quickly. Even multiple towers if you're not careful. So by Snaking positioning himself in the bottom lane, he's making sure that Complexity is about to have to make a choice. And I think it's really interesting in this particular game because if you think about it, Pugna is a hero that often plays split pushy because he's very good at split pushing. Lycan, another hero that plays in a very split pushy style. Beastmaster, another hero that plays in a very split pushy style. Shadow Shaman, of course, the one that we're talking about, plays in a very split pushy style. So you have 4 heroes that do the same job in a lot of games. But in this particular game, EternalEnvy and Fear and Snake King and Monkeys Forever and Shisui have made the distinction that they need to be as 4 with the Beastmaster, Lycan, Pugna, and Bane. And then Shadow Shaman is the most expendable hero that can be alone by himself pushing a lane. And the reason for this is I would guess that the Beastmaster combos very well with the Lycan because all of their units together, and they both went Necrobook, benefit extremely hard from the Howl and from the Beastmaster's attack speed. The Pugna is a core, and the Ward is very, very good against the likes of the Skywrath Mage and the Undying, spamming their spells constantly. And then the Bane, obviously, is not a split-pushing hero, so he's just going to be with his team, providing them some fight control. So they basically decided that of their 4 heroes that do the same job of split-pushing and pressuring lanes very quickly, the Shadow Shaman is the one hero that they can be without in fights, and one hero that can essentially pull this fork off in the most optimal way. Because if you think about Shadow Shaman as a hero, he's very good at taking towers, but he's also very dangerous for a single hero to come try and fight. If a singular hero from Complexity goes to try and stop the Shadow Shaman from pushing, he's just going to get hexed, going to get shackled. He might even have the wards dropped on him. Shaman can actually threaten a solo kill on even a core by himself. So in that sense, Shadow Shaman is the perfect hero in this game for this job. And yes, Beastmaster could potentially do the same thing. Lycan could do the same thing. But Shaman in particular is the best at it on their team, and the one who could potentially delay enemy heroes who are trying to kill him the longest. So what you see here is that as Shaman nears the base, the rest of his team begins to push towards the tier 2. And as soon as Shaman gets to the base, we see Limp's Kunkka TPs down to try and kill him. And he lands a Shadow Blade hit, and he almost kills the Shaman, but the Shaman is able to get off a Hex. He immediately drops the wards, then he shackles Limp's Kunkka, and this forces Z-Freak into a immediate reaction to come maybe save his Kunkka from this Shaman, who poses a threat to the Kunkka. Maybe not a very realistic threat, but he definitely poses some sort of threat to the Kunkka. So Z-Freak TP's down on the Skywrath Mage. Now it is a 4v3 in the top lane, and there is no Kunkka and no Skywrath Mage, who are probably the 2 biggest damage sources on the side of Complexity. So in this instance, Complexity has to choose between either taking a 5v4 fight on their terms and losing their bottom set of racks to the Shaman, or they can try and defend their bottom set of racks from the Shaman and then have to essentially give up their top tier 2 and shrine the other 4 heroes. And as you can see, they end up choosing the latter option, defending the racks, slightly more valuable set of objectives, but it also then sets up not Complexity, EternalEnvy's team to then take this fight in the bottom lane a few moments later. And so while Snake King does die making this play, he allows his team to claim 2 objectives, and then he respawns because he's the lowest level, because he's a support. He respawns, immediately goes to the mid lane, pushes out the mid lane, which then causes a chain reaction of dying, trying to go out and ward, gets spotted by the creep wave, rotates through, catches the Undying, which allows them to then take a base push with a 5-on-4 advantage. And as you can see, it becomes a very easy set of racks, a second set of racks, in fact, which really sets up the game to be theirs to lose. It's very hard for them to lose this game once they have 2 sets of racks. Anti-Mage is extremely far behind, and they're able to close out this game in just over 22 minutes. So I just want to highlight this fork play in particular because I thought it was so well orchestrated, and it's just something, it's cool to see strategies being implemented so clearly. And whether or not they're chess players doesn't really matter. It's the fact that they gave complexity to very, very bad options and forced them into a decision where they have to make a very bad decision because there are only very bad options. The next time you're playing a pub and you see that Shadow Shaman or Shakiro or Pugna or whatever split pushing the lanes, instead of maybe yelling at them to group up with you guys, why don't you try to orchestrate a 4-man push in the other lane if you feel like you are strong enough to do so, at the same time as that solo player is playing their own game of Dota. And I think that this particular play demonstrates one of my favorite things about Dota, which is that there is such a depth to the strategy that you can employ, especially when you have a well-coordinated team. So I just wanted to give props to this Plus Ultra squad, the EternalEnvy, Fear, Snake King, Monkeys Forever stack, and just highlight the depth of strategy that exists in the Dota 2 universe right now, and how well a well-coordinated team can abuse their opponents and force them into interesting and difficult scenarios. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you did in the comment section below. Good luck, have fun in your pubs, and we will see you. Hello everyone, and thank you for watching the video. We genuinely appreciate your time and attention spent with us here on the YouTube channel. Please check out DotaAlchemy.com if you're looking for a way to let this channel continue to put out as much content as possible. We love you guys, and we will see you in the next video.